Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
So we had 10 gurus, right? You all heard that? Yeah? Cool. Now, the first one was born in 1469. The 10th guru, he was in 1708. And then from now on, we follow the text, which you can see a little picture there on the yellow. Yeah? That's our current guru, which is like a text. The first guru had traveled quite a lot. They believe that he's the second most traveled person in history. He traveled a lot. Yeah? And this is 500 years ago, where you didn't have airplanes. Took him a long time. He spent 30 years traveling. Wherever he traveled, he met people like yourselves, yeah? He would go and talk about this idea that we're all one, we're all equal, yeah? And do you think at that time, that was like, oh yeah, I heard that before? 500 years ago. What was going on in this area, like in England and Europe, 500 years ago? I hadn't really started yet. What was going to come around? Yeah. Yeah, medieval times. But the slave trade was not even started yet, but the attitudes of the slave trade were going to happen afterwards, that people were not equal. Yeah. At the same time, there were some religions that said, we're the best, and if you don't follow us, you're a heathen, or you're a kafir, you're going to burn in hell. Right? That was one side. But also, in India, if you study Indian culture, you will know there was something called the caste system. Does anybody know about the caste system? Anybody heard of it? Yeah. The caste system is a bit strange. It's not like the class system. Who's heard of the class system? You know, upper class, middle class, yeah? And then, you've heard of that, right? So if you're upper class, then you go to the right schools, and then generally, they look upon people that are middle class as, oh, they're all right. And then lower class, oh gosh, never. But you know what happens? If you make a lot of money, you can go up and down the class system, yeah? So you first make a lot of money, you suddenly start living in a middle class environment, you have a middle class school, then you make even more money, you can send your kids to an upper class school, and then at some point, it seems like you've changed your class, right? But the caste system, you can't change. You get born into a family of butchers, right? You remember there's people in this country called Butcher? The surname is Butcher. That's what their parents and grandparents used to do, right? If you're a butcher in that caste system, you're not allowed to do any other job. You must remain a butcher your life, your kids in their life, their kids in their life, and you can never change. It's kind of like society is fixed and rigid, yeah? And what would happen is the people at the top, they would say, we can meditate, we can pray, you lower people are not allowed to. You lower people, the low caste, you're not allowed to own property, you're not allowed to be religious, you're not allowed to fight, not to have arms. You're kind of like slaves. Yeah? Although they weren't slaves owned by someone, but they were treated as slaves. Yeah? So if you killed like a low caste person and you were a high caste person, there's no consequence. Because they're not really human as far as it was concerned. And in this time, the gurus came around and they said, no, we're all equal. So for the Sikhs, yeah, like myself, we believe the gurus came almost like revolutionaries, yeah, bringing a very new message.
Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.